lovely to see so many of you here. What a lovely day it's already been, and we're only approaching halfway. So I am, as Sue said, the host of a podcast called The Life of Letters. I know some of you have heard it, maybe even seen it on YouTube. So really, really honoured that I was asked to come and have a chat with Judith today. We have chatted very briefly, but we have got a lot to get through, and we've got a very small amount of time. And I've got a few questions that I want to ask Judith. So hang on to your hats, but I'm just going to start with a little introduction. Many of you will probably know Judith already, or maybe heard about her becoming a fellow this year. So last year. So Judith studied Art Foundation in Swansea, then Calligraphy, Heraldry and Illumination at Reigate School of Art and Design, and completed the Advanced Training Scheme with the Society of Scribes and Illuminators. She has taught calligraphy for over 35 years. In 2014, won the most innovative category at the annual Class Art and the Letter exhibition, and has been elected as Fellow of the Society of Scribes and Illuminators, and most recently, as we've mentioned, became a class fellow. So very big welcome to Judith to the Life of Letters. It's lovely to have you here. And some of you might not know, but there's a table just behind you with all of her work on, and some of it coming up on the screen behind me, just because there's quite a transformational process to her work, which, to be honest, is where I want to start, because it's really, really quite innovative, the way that Judith brings together both the sort of traditional scripts and a lot of the traditional kind of art of calligraphy, mixing it with much more sort of modern, perhaps, techniques and materials, really, in your work. So when you've got that blend of sort of the concepts and the traditional roots, there's this kind of courageous aspect that I can see in your work, which is actually putting something together which may not be something that people are assuming would work together. Is that something that kind of pushed you towards applying to become a fellow?
Thank you, Laura. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm really excited, a bit terrified to be here, and it's lovely to see everybody. My training, really, I trained in Reigate School of Art and Design from 86 to 88, and really for about 20 years I worked at home doing commissions and doing what I wanted to do. And then I decided I needed some outside inspiration, so I decided to sign up for the Advanced Training Scheme. And for me, it really changed my life. It gave me the opportunity to discover what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, and how I was going to say it. So that was just amazing and changed how I think about things. The resin piece that I did, that I won the most innovative with, I think gives an idea of that. Looking at the wording is always at the centre of everything that I do. So the meaning of it comes first. And with the resin piece, it was all about the words saying that it was, the love was so important, it was fragile. So then I created a piece of lettering which had no substrate. So that was written in resin and floating above the surface. So, yeah, so I think it's lost, my work tends to mostly be developed in my head. So I think about what it is I'm writing and keep developing it, turning it round and trying to think, how can I create this until I have a light bulb moment? And then, of course, then I've got to actually create it. So the Metamorphosis piece here, I discovered the thermochromic paper. And then I thought, okay, so this is special film that is black when it's below 31 degrees, and then above 31 degrees, it becomes transparent. So I thought, oh, if I write something about metamorphosis, then my lettering is underneath and it was on display for the 25th exhibition. I think I nearly set Bath on fire, or Wells, it may have been Wells. I think I caused a fire alarm at one point. So that was one of the things, and that very much sums up my ideas, that I love things which are surprising and magical. So something that people look at and say, how did she do that? I've got no idea how she did that. And you can see that when I've been showing it to people today. I think people really enjoy that aspect and seeing something new and exciting.
Yeah, and I guess that's something that took you onto the journey to maybe explore what a fellowship journey would look like. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about where that started, how you kind of got into the idea of actually, I'm going to go for the class fellowship. I know you've already become a fellow, so maybe you were familiar with the process a little bit, but could you briefly talk us through that journey? But also there's a particular piece in there, it would have been divine timing if it was up on the screen, but the mirror reimagined piece, which I know some people have seen, which was part of your submission, right?
Yeah. So my journey to fellowship was rather long. Took me around about 10 years to go from when I decided that I thought it was something that I wanted to do, and then developing the work, having enough work to submit for it. But the mirror is a piece which is based on the mirror Calligraphy Monumenta. So that is a piece which was created in 1561 by Boxguy, and then 30 years later it was illustrated by Hofnagel. And I just love that idea that people look at something. And John Nash, when I was on the advanced training scheme, he was talking about a piece that I did, Mrs. Reynolds' cat, for another class exhibition. And he said, oh, from a distance, this looks like an idol. And then you get a bit closer and you realise that it's a comical piece about a poem about a cat. And I really liked that idea, and that stuck with me. So the mirror calligraphy is very much that people would maybe see it, and if they know the mirror, will think, oh, gosh, what's that doing in an exhibition, in a modern exhibition? And then they look a bit closer and they see that there's a mouse in it, but then the mouse actually has a wheel in its back. And oh, it's got a USB on the end of its tail. And, you know, people starting to see that there was this link between something very traditional, which looks very traditional, but has connections to modern calligraphy, to modern day. So I wanted to include computer technology. So the apple, I think most people know what the apple is, but the moth that is in it is all about the first computer, which was built in Harvard in 1947, and they were getting errors inside this huge computer, probably the size of this building, and they opened the door and there was a moth inside. And they actually took that poor moth and stuck it on the front of their logbook. So that's why the moth is in there. Yeah. So it's got those connections. It looks traditional, but it has a lot of connections to modern day. But also the piece on the bottom, which, if you look at this one, looks tiny. The original was a quarter that size, and apparently was written with a needle. But the piece at the bottom is all about where the book sits within modern day, you know, that the libraries, the publishing houses, all of those things are changing with the digitalization of books. So the change in face, really, of the book.
And this seems to be something that is very consistent throughout the work, certainly the work that you've submitted as part of the fellowship. And how did that come about in terms of, were you sort of encouraged to go for it? Were you thinking, yes, I'm going to do this because, or were you gathering your work and going, oh, this will be a good bit, this will be, or creating the work to put into it?
Yeah, well, I think once you decide to apply for fellowship, and it's really important to find mentors that know you well, know your work. I was very, very fortunate to have Mary Noble and Cheryl Avery both supported me and were amazing. And they help you on that journey and help you to choose which pieces you want to submit. They can advise you on if the time is right now or you should leave it a bit longer. But I was very lucky to have them and supported me. And then I took my work to Warwick and then it was assessed and yes, it was success.
Incredible, incredible. And how long is that sort of journey from when you're like, yes, I think I want to do this?
Probably took about a year in reality from starting the process. But, you know, it really started 10 years earlier, so it's taken a long time. You know, a lot of false starts and moving forward again and finding, you know, it's with anything, it's ups and downs, isn't it? And you find your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but it's a journey.
It is a journey, and it's nice to know that you're not doing it alone. Ultimately, there are people there who can support you with it. Is there a favourite piece that you've submitted that has stuck out in your mind?
Well, I love the Burgess piece.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you need to have a look at this.
Yeah,
incredible piece of work.
It's over 200 hours of work.
Oh.
And you know, it could have been a disaster right at the final minute. I was putting my palette on it, which is what I tend to do, put it on the work to carry on and finish painting just the tiny numbers. And from the central, I picked my palette up and it was two big black blobs.
Oh.
But fortunately, I also have a habit of putting thick paper underneath to cover the work, so I'm only showing the little bit. But that was literally within 2 weeks of fellowship, so it could have all been a bit of a disaster.
I feel like that's experience right there.
It is. But I think with the Burgess piece, I love doing all of the illustrations and the gold. It's got, you know, red gold, yellow gold, green gold, white gold on it. It's got raised gold and flat gold. Lots of people actually have asked me today how I did the checkerboard effect with the gold on the Cardiff Castle. So that was written first in a very washy pale pink, and then the outline of the box was drawn on the checkerboards, and then the gesso painted into the squares that were going to be raised. That was gilded. And then into the spaces was painted the powder gold that was burnished. And then finally the letters were painted in. So it's quite a process. But it does, I love the effect of the raised and the powder gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
Incredible. And such a mixture of sort of pieces, ultimately, even though they have this consistency of the traditional meeting the modern. I think it's fascinating to see that work that actually sort of changes before your eyes as well. I think it's lovely to appreciate an art form that develops from somebody's hand and appears in front of you on paper, but for it to then change through a process that actually somebody can, we were watching earlier people picking up the heat gun and having a go themselves, or sticking your hand on a piece of work, which is terrifying at most times. But it's fascinating to hear your journey with the fellowship and actually really understand a little bit more about the work and the process that goes in behind all of these pieces that you've poured your energy and time and thoughts and ideas into. I know there's some people that you'd love to sort of thank, but I'd really like you to share with people how they can maybe ask you more questions or connect with you after, particularly if they're the fellowship is something that they're interested in exploring as well.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you know, as I say, Mary and Cheryl have been amazing, and Rachel and the fellows who assessed my work, which was just an amazing experience. But I think my learners as well, you know, Gordon, one of my learners who was the chair of the South Wales Scribes, he said to me online in my teaching, he said, "Oh, Judith, well, we've suffered with you. We've gone through this 10 years. We've suffered as well." So thank you to Gordon and all of my learners. But it's been an amazing experience, and having the opportunity to teach at the Class Festival in August in Warwick is it's a dream for me to be able to do that. That's an absolute dream. And, you know, some of the people who are here today are attending and coming to spend time with me. So thank you to everyone for that. But you can see my work is on the website. I'm on Facebook. But if anybody, you know, I'd love to talk to people. You know, I'm Welsh, so I can talk a lot. So I'm happy to talk to anybody about my work or any questions you've got. Please come and ask me afterwards.
Yeah, amazing. And if anybody has got other questions about the fellowship, then you can visit the team at the Casby desk as well. But yeah, I really encourage you to go and have a look at the work that's here now. It may disappear into a castle or something soon, so you never know. But go and check out Judith's website. She's got videos of the work as well, as she said, but she's also going to be around today, so connect with her as much as you can. And thank you, a huge thank you. I know that was a short segment, but lovely to see so many of you joining us today and listening to Judith's journey. So thank you from me to you, and enjoy the rest of the day today. Thank you so much.